Welcome to the podcast, Let the Prophet Speak. This is Isaiah Yeshayahu 41a, the first part of the study of chapter 41, Parak Mem Aleph. If you recall, we last studied chapter 40, in which Yeshayahu asked the Jewish people to be the ones that bring the message of God to the world, to bring the message of tzedek u'mishpat, justice and righteousness, to the rest of the world. And then he responded to the questions of the skeptics. He responded to the people that said, Ma'ekra, why should I call out if there's only suffering, if all we see is destruction? And then God answered through his prophet that no, you should get up. Al har gavoa alilach mivaseret Zion. Get up, you who I asked to speak to Jerusalem, the mivaseret Zion. Get up on the high mountains. Harimi b'koach kolech. Raise your voice. Mivaseret Yerushalayim, the one who I said, Dabru alev Yerushalayim. Don't be afraid. Harimi al tirai. Speak to the cities of Judah, and so on. Speak to them. Here is God. And then he said, who is this God? This God who does come with strength. He does come with punishment, but he is also kiroeh edro yireh. And then he went on really a philosophical speech, where Yeshayahu told us, in the name of God, who is the one who created earth? Who is the one who created water and heaven and everything? Who is the one that did all of this? It is God. God is the one who did this. Everything, the entire world is nothing in front of God. And don't ask me, is God, and then you may ask, is God so great that, if God is so great, why would he even care about me? And then he said, God said, who are you going to compare me to? Don't think that I'm like a human being, that when he's so great, he doesn't bother with the little guy. But rather, Lama Tomar Yaakov, don't ask, Nisdera Darki Mea Adonai Umei Elohai Mishpati Ha'avor, that God doesn't care about what I do, what I think. Right? He's the one who not only destroys and meets out justice, he also gives the weary strength. He gives the people that have nothing. Those that have faith in God get strength from him. And God cares. He cares about the individual. These were the ideas that were expressed in chapter 40. In chapter 41, God then takes the next step and starts to discuss the coming of the Mashiach, the coming of the Messiah, of the ultimate redemption. However, in this chapter 41, in the first part, he is going to kind of announce his coming to the entire world. God is going to come and say, get ready for that big day. You know, you announced it, Dabru, the Jewish people, you listened to me, you announced it, you went around the world and announced it. Unfortunately, as we'll see momentarily, you suffered a lot because you tried to bring that message to the world. In some cases, you might have been successful, some cases you might have done a good job, some cases a bad job, but the Jewish people are then scattered around the world and scared for reasons which are obvious because of all the suffering. But now it's time to bring justice and bring everyone back. So we're going to deal with some of the emotions that would go through the people who are about to receive this message, the nations and the Jewish people, when they see the entire world receiving this message. So here goes. Verse 1. Hacharishu elai iyim. Iyim refers to the far-off islands. Iyim, the word iyim, aleph, yud, yud, mem, actually has two meanings. One meaning is some kind of animal, which is usually translated as hyenas. And one might be tempted to translate hacharishu here as stand silent, you hyenas, as hyenas are known to be laughing hyenas, noisy animals. So that might be you hyenas out there, you know, which would represent the nations out there. Quiet down, settle down. But I think a better translation is Iyim, meaning the islands, the people of the faraway places, which in various places in Yeshayahu, the word iyim means that. And I think we'll see in verse 7, which is coming up shortly, where in verse 5, Ra'u iyim v'yira'u, see the faraway islands and be afraid. Kitzot ha'aretz, the ends of the earth, yecharadu, should tremble. So when it's compared to the ends of the earth, iyim must mean the iyeh hayam, the faraway islands. That's why I think even though I'm very tempted to translate quiet down, you hyenas, but I don't think that's the correct translation here. So hacharishu elai iyim, stand silent for me, be quiet for me, listen up, you people that dwell in those faraway places. Ula umim yachalifu koach, and all you nations out there, get your strength together, gird up, be strong. Yigshu, come close to me, says God, az yidaberu, and then they will be able to speak. Come close to me, be close and listen, and then you can speak your case. Yachtov, come together, la mishpat nikrava, when we come for judgment. So God is asking the peoples of the world to come before Him, state their case. Were we righteous? Were we good? Were we just? Did we behave the way we should? Did we treat the people that came to us that needed our help properly or not? Yachtov, when they come together, that's God's advising them to come together for judgment. I just want to point out, in my introduction to the second half of Yeshayahu, I pointed out that I feel that this is very much a continuation of the first half, and my primary argument was based on the fact that there's a recurrence of themes, a consistent repetition of themes from the first half repeated in the second half, maybe different languages and so on. And I said I was going to give examples. So again, let me remind you, this is very much parallel to the way chapter 34, Parak Lamed started. If we go back there, let me just read that verse. Where Yeshayahu started with the words Kirvu goyim lishma, come nations, come close to listen, Ulu'omim hakshivu, and listen up, all you nations. Tishma ha'aretz u'meloha, the entire land should listen. Tevel v'chol tzatzoah. So again, you see a repetition of the themes and ideas, which hints to me, at least, and to many others that agree with me, that the second half of Yeshayahu was compiled and written by the same writers as the first and is coming from the same prophet. So then the next verse comes, verse 2. So God is telling him, come up and listen. And God is saying, I am now making the world of the Mashiach, of Messiah, the great king that we talked about before, the great leader who is going to bring peace to the world, is sitting on his throne, so to speak, and bringing justice and righteousness and peace to the world. Let me point out here that there are many, many different understandings of these next few verses and who exactly this is referring to. I'm going to mention three. The Radak, who and many other of the Rishonim, of the early commentaries, feel that this is referring to Avraham Avinu, Abraham. The others, Mahari Kira and Ibn Ezra, and others feel that this is talking about Cyrus, Koresh. The Malbim, who I'm going to follow him, at least his lead on this one, feels that this is referring to Mashiach, to the Messiah, not to someone in the past, but someone in the future. Now, I'm not going to take the Malbim the entire way, but I'm going to take him at least on this to understand who this is referring to. But God is speaking to the people. Who is to the world? God is speaking to the entire world. The Iyim Ulu-Umim, the entire world, the nations of the world. Who is it that is bringing this about? God wants to point out it is not this man, the man who's standing there, the person who is the Messiah, but it is me, it is God. Mi he'ir mi mizrach. Who is the one who made this awakening come from the east? The east, because from the land of Israel towards the projected out towards the rest of the world. Mi he'ir mi mizrach. Tzedek yikra'ehu l'raglo. He is the one who, when he comes, what he is greeted with is righteousness. In other words, he comes not in war and battle like all the other leaders in history came with you know, with horses and chariots, or in modern days with tanks and guns, but he comes with righteousness. Yitain lifanov goyim u'melachim yard. And nonetheless, despite him coming with tzedek, nations are placed before him, u'melachim yard, and kings step down before him. He doesn't conquer them, but he overwhelms them with righteousness. Other kings step down before him and say, yes, lead us. Yitain ke'afar charbo. He makes like his sword is like dirt. Kikash nidaf kashto. His bow is like kash nidaf, is like just straw that blows away. In other words, his weapons are nothing. He doesn't come with a strong sword. He doesn't come with a powerful bow. He comes with tzedek. Yir defame, when he chases them, meaning when he chases after his enemies, ya'avor shalom, he passes them, he overcomes them with peace. Orach biraglov lo yavo. He doesn't even have to bother running with his feet on a path. He doesn't have to go. He doesn't have to run down the road in order to chase them down, because he overcomes his enemies, so to speak, with peace, because he doesn't have enemies. Mi fa'al va'asa. Who is the one that did all of this? God says, Korei hadoros merosh. It is the one who has called out the generations all the way back from the beginning. It has been me, God says, that has been making these generations from the beginning. Ani Adonai, I am God Rishon. I was the first one. I was in control from the beginning. V'et acharonim, and now when we are discussing the latter ones, the people at the end of history, at the end of time, Ani hu, it is still I that is in control of all of this that you are seeing here. And Ra'u'iyim v'yira'u. Those that are in those faraway lands will see this v'yira'u, and they will be afraid. Why will they be afraid? Because God said it is time for mishpat, it is time for justice. And not all of them behave themselves that well throughout history. So they have what to be afraid of when justice comes. Kitzos ha'aretz, the ends of the earth, yecharadu, are trembling with fear. Korvu, via esoyun. But they have come close, via esoyun, and I am inviting them to come, because true justice will be meted out. Ish et re'eu yahazoru. Each man should strengthen his friend. Say, don't be afraid. Strengthen his friend to come in front of me for justice. Ul'achiv, and to his brother Yomar Chazak. Vayichazek chorosh et zureif. Over here, we have so many different interpretations of what this verse means. Most interpreting it based on how they interpreted the last few verses, such as the Malbim assuming that people are getting ready to build their instruments of battle to fight the Mashiach, to fight the Messiah, and the Radak believes that this is talking about everywhere. Let's get ready to make the idols, and Rashi holds that this is referring to Abraham bringing people closer to God. But it seems obvious to me that based on the way we read verses 1 through 6, that the meaning of this pasuk is pretty obvious. Everyone, like we just said, Ish et re'eu yahazoru, strengthen your friend and come. This is God speaking to all the nations of the world, the Iyim and so on. He says, Vayichazek chorosh et zoreif. The carpenter, in other words, all of you people, the carpenter, the one who's working at building, should strengthen the one who is the tzoref, the metal worker, the smith. Machalik patish et holem po'am. The one who swings a hammer, in other words, that is his job, right? He should strengthen the one who pounds the anvil, the one who grinds up grain. Omer ladevek tovu. He should say to the one who uses glue, right? Yes, it is good. It is good to work with your hands. Vayechazekeu b'masmirim lo himot, and they should strengthen each other with with pegs or with nails, that do not slip. And that's how they should strengthen each other, in ways with strength that do not slip. Because each person who toiled, who worked hard to build what they built, don't worry. Get together, be strong, and let's go before God. But then, as we approach verse 8, God has just spoken to the world and said, all of you come for justice. Well, what's with you, the Jewish people? Remember, Isaiah Yeshayahu is standing in Jerusalem talking to the Jewish people. The Jewish people have been told, you are the chosen of God. You have a special mission. You have a special purpose. You're the ones that are supposed to go out into the world and bring this message of God and spread this message of God. I want you to come to my temple. I want you to live in Jerusalem. I want you to be my people. But instead, what happened? They were scattered around the entire world. Yeshayahu was saying, you're scattered to the Iyim, to these faraway places, and you suffered, and you suffered, and you suffered, and you suffered. Now the redemption is coming, and God is talking to them, those nations who caused you suffering. What about me? Are we still special? So Yeshayahu says, don't worry. V'ato Yisrael, and you, Yisrael Avdi, Israel, my servant, the ones who served me, the ones who stuck with me. Yaakov, Jacob, Asher Becharticha, the ones who I chose. Zera Avraham Ohavi, you are the descendants of Abraham, the one who loved me. Asher Hechazakticha mikatzos haaretz, I have given you strength from all of the edges of the earth. I have given you strength to remain steadfast with me. Ume'atzi leha kirasicha, and I have called you from among those leaders, all of those that were powerful, those nations, those leaders that were powerful, that were holding you under their fist. I have called you to come back to me from underneath them. V'omar lach, and I am telling you, yes, avdi ata, you are still my servant. I am still expecting you to fulfill your special privileged duty. Becharticha, I still have chosen you. V'lo ma'asticha, I have not thrown you away. I have not gotten rid of you. All those people that kept trying to tell you God doesn't love you anymore, He doesn't want you anymore. No, it's not true. Lo ma'asticha. Al tira, do not be afraid to step forward also. I'm asking those nations of the world, but I'm telling you, do not be afraid to step forward with them. Ki imcha ani, because I am still with you. Al tishta, do not fear. Ki ani Elohecha, because I am still your God. Imatzticha, I have been strengthening you. You may not have seen it, but I have been. Af azarticha, I have helped you. Af timafticha, I have supported you, bimin tzidki, with my right hand of justice. Because I am just, I am fair, and because I want to spread justice. Bimin tzidki, not the yamin, not the right hand of strength, not the right hand of power, which came up so often earlier in this book, but the right hand of righteousness. Hein yevoshu v'yikalmu. And don't worry, yes, there were so many that caused you suffering. Don't worry, justice will be meted out. They will be embarrassed. They will be ashamed. When they stand before God in judgment, they are going to have to answer for the suffering that they caused you. Kol hanecharim bach, all of those who have hurt you. Yiyucha ayin, they will turn into nothingness. V'yovdu anshe rivecha, those that have argued with you and made you suffer, they will be destroyed. Tivakshem v'lo timsaim, they will be destroyed to the extent that if you searched for them, you won't even find them. Ashem matzusecha, those people that caused you suffering. Yiyucha ayin u'cha'efes anshem l'chamtecha, those who waged war against you, those who killed you, those who murdered you, those who committed genocides, those people will be like nothing. They will be completely gone. Ki ani Adonai Elohecha, because I am your God. Machaziki minecha, I am the one who strengthens your right hand. Ha'omer lecha, and I am the one who is telling you, Al tira, do not be afraid. Ani azarticha, because I am the one who has helped you. And then just a few more verses we're going to study for this first half. The next three we're up to verse 14. Al tiri, do not be afraid, Tola at Yaakov, you worm Yaakov. This worm was a pejorative term. Even Ezra explains that this was a term that the Babylonians would make fun of the Jews when they were in captivity and say, you guys are like worms. Unfortunately, we know from recent history, things not that much different. when anti-Semites called Jewish people all kinds of terms like that. But God says, do not be afraid, you who has been called a worm, Misei Yisrael, you people of Israel who have been put to death. Ani azartich no'om Adonai, I will help you. V'go alech kadosh Yisrael, and the Holy One of Israel says, I will redeem you. Hinei samtich l'morag chorutz chadash, I will make of you a new threshing board. Baal pifios, I will make you one that has many pifios, are like spikes that were attached to a threshing board. And imagine that you have a threshing board that takes raw produce and turns it into something fine, grain, and it gets pounded a lot. That's the nature of a threshing board. So, and it's also a tough tool to make. But God, so it's an image that a farmer would appreciate. I'm going to get you a new one. I'm going to get you a brand new one with brand new spikes, so that I can take all of the raw bad stuff and not bad stuff, but stuff that's raw and unusable, and crush it and make it into a fine, beautiful flour. Tadush harim v'tadok, so that you will take harim, and harim consistently throughout Yeshayahu, harim always meant arrogant ones, the arrogant ones that cause the suffering. You will be able to be that threshing board and crush the arrogant ones. Zuguva kamot tasim, and you will make the hills, the high people, the people that think they're so great, you will make them like chaff. Tizreim v'ruach tisahim, they will be scattered, and the wind will scatter them, those people. Usa'ara tafitzosam, and a thunderstorm or a whirlwind or a tornado will come and scatter it around Viata, and you, Tagil Badunai, you will have the opportunity to be joyous with God. Bikdosh Yisrael Tishalol, and you will be praised because of Kadosh Yisrael, because of your loyalty to God. You will be praised in this time of justice and righteousness. So don't be afraid when I call out to all of the people of the world and gather them together. God says, don't be afraid. I am still with you. I am still yours. And you are still mine. Thank you for studying Isaiah 41a. Looking forward to completing the study of chapter 41 with you.